Corporate Recruiter here to review your resumes. This is a resume of a front-end developer, and I do non-tech resumes as well, but most of them end up being tech. So this viewer wrote, I am not actively applying yet. I'm preparing for a job search and would like your honest feedback to make sure this resume is aligned with current market standards in the US. To be clear, I am a US-based recruiter, and while my advice has gotten people jobs outside the US, it's not a one-to-one translation. And let's see, market standards and ATS requirements for front-end developer roles. There are no ATS requirements for front-end developer roles. That is not how an ATS works. I will explain it after I review this. Thank you for your time and feedback, and I will tell you the truth of ATSs. So this person, for a front-end developer, the qualifications that we need are right up here: JavaScript, React, Angular, HTML, CSS, PHP, Next.js, SQL, Scrum, Agile, RESTful API, SEO, Git, CLCD, Node.js, 0 to 1, communicate with stakeholders, needs into a product, and a bonus for that stuff. So recruiters only have 20 seconds to find this stuff. Whoop, I messed up the formatting. If it goes past 20 seconds, we will probably have to go to the next candidate. That is just how much time we have. So 20 seconds on the clock and go. Okay, degree, no. Okay, build and maintain enterprise level with Angular, TypeScript. Okay, I don't need half of this. For education, healthcare, okay, credited 8th with Figma designs. What is accessibility? Now introduced Playwright for reducing manual checks and declined. So, does this meet ATS standards? Yes, it does, because it's in a PDF. That is how ATS work. ATS, despite what people are trying to scam you on, it's like 99% of them on the market. The faster you apply, the better. It just simply first come, first serve. That's it. They are digital filing cabinets, and anytime a recruiter tries to say that online, everybody just votes them because they think that's incorrect. That is seriously how 99% of them work. I've used Workday, Greenhouse, Taleo, ADP. I did not like Taleo. And I forgot the other two that I've used. I've used a bunch of them. So as long as your resume is in a PDF or Word or whatever the Google Docs equivalent of Word is, you're fine. The ATS will work with it. It may not parse it, but that's okay, because we can just look at this copy. This is what we will be seeing. And this is where the actual problem with resumes start. So if you noticed, this person did not have most of these. You need 75% to get an interview. That is the industry average, 75%. If you don't meet 75%, you do not make it through. So let me dig in what was wrong with this, because even though it is ATS compliant, it is not recruiter or hiring manager compliant. So the first thing is you started kind of okay, right? You had Angular, TypeScript, which is a bonus, JavaScript, but then you had HTML5 instead of just HTML. You had Beam, which isn't needed. You had SCSS, which may be different than CSS. And to be clear, if JavaScript is different than Java, then SCSS, it is maybe different than CSS. Don't put HTML5 or CSS, at least in the US, just put HTML and CSS. And RESTful APIs, delivering responsive user interface. This is okay, right? So again, they wrote it slightly wrong, but if they wrote it rightly, that would be kind of okay. And then we go here, and there's nothing here that I need. I don't think I need Figma. No, I don't. I don't need Playwright. Git I could use. And if you notice, this is as far down as I could kind of get. They filled their resume with stuff that is not needed. So there is a fact. Let me see if they actually have it. So when you're applying to jobs, the qualifications are the only thing that matter. And if you put a resume with something like BEM or A11Y, it is wasted space and is hurting you. The reason is, this is the only stuff that matters. That's it. If it's not here, it's just not relevant, and you need your resume to be filled with relevant stuff. So they did have most of the stuff from the front, but what about PHP? What about SQL? What about Scrum or Agile? What about SEOs? What about CLCD? What about Node.js? What about 0 to 1, communicate with stakeholders, needs into a product? If you don't have those, you will get declined. So this person had about 30 to 40% of what we needed. But that is not 75%, so they get declined. The biggest problem I have noticed amongst a lot of people submitting their resume is they try to put in stuff that is impressive, right? Like created accessible interfaces from Figma with validating achieving accessibility scores of 95% or whatever. The problem is that's not in any of the job descriptions. And if it's not in any of the job descriptions under qualifications, it's wasted space on your resume, because that could have been filled with SDLC or CLCD or 0 to 1 or Next.js or PHP or SQL, which is stuff that they are actually going to be looking for. So when you make your resume, this is what you need to do. You need to find 15 jobs with good job descriptions, because let's face it, some job descriptions are in fact terrible. They are not indicative of the market. They are just bad. They have nothing on them. You can ignore those. And then take 15 of those good ones and craft a resume for that specific job title. That is how you need to do it. And I want to be clear on this as well, is there is a difference between keywords and qualifications. Keywords, which no recruiter calls, but you could consider these keywords, right? These are the things that the hiring team needs to have to move you forward. And the problem is recruiters and managers are not actually hunting for keywords. We're hunting for qualifications. So a keyword could be considered this, but a qualification is one of these plus how you used it, plus the reason or result of you using it, plus where you used it. And this person actually did do the how plus reason or result correctly, and where. This is why skill sections don't count. It's because they're keywords, not qualifications. But the problem is they just put in the wrong one of these. So I want you to go back, look at the roles, and it's also entirely possible that where this person is, that in this part of, I actually don't know where they're from, is actually, those are the correct ones, but I can't judge that. I have to judge it based off it's in the US. So look at the job description, find 15 good ones, copy the qualifications, right? Not the responsibilities. That section does not matter. And then make those into your resume, because those are the only thing that matter. And again, make sure you don't just say SCSS and you just say CSS, because if Java is different than JavaScript, and I swear to you, engineers will never let you forget about that if you make it wrong, then it's a valid assumption that SCSS is different than CSS, just like HTML5 could be different than HTML. So that is all I can do for this resume. Thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing, sending this to your friends and family, and reposting it. I really do appreciate that. And I wanted to thank all my members who get access to these videos a little bit early. Thank you very much. And if you ever need more help, you can join my live stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. PST at twitch.tv/headlessheadhunter. And I will see you in the next resume, which we're about to do right now. This is a product manager. So for product manager, we need degree, industry, BI tools, Microsoft Office suites, analyzing user data and extract business requirements from stakeholders and transform them into product requirements. So basically, can you talk to, say, the CEO, and the CEO just says a bunch of buzzwords? You have to actually make that into a viable product. Tableau, Google Analytics, Databricks, SQL, full story, and A/B testing. Figma, this is one where you actually need Figma. Cross-functionally, 0 to 1. You notice that is going to probably be a theme. That is I would say the new buzzword is 0 to 1. How you move teams faster, and how you succeeded, and the result of that success that is not a brag. It could be a brag, but it doesn't have to be a brag, right? We just need to see that whatever you did, whatever you managed, was a success internally, because that matters more than the numbers and percentages. Was it considered a success internally in that company? So 20 seconds on the clock for this, and let's see, did this person write me any notes? I've submitted a ton of applications and have only received rejection emails. Currently have had a job. Okay, so they're not struggling right now, but they are struggling to get interviews. So a good way to tell if your resume is good or bad is its ratio. and that is how many applications it takes to get an interview. Ideally, it should be 50 and less. So for every 50 applications, you should be getting one interview. If it is not that, if it is higher than that, then your resume is a problem. All right, so let's see and go. Okay, ooh, fluent, good, like that. I led the launch and enablement of an FDA laser platform, friendly tools and materials. That's actually okay. Led FDA across Canada, improving brand, don't care. Collaborated with sales, legal, don't care. Okay, yeah, this would be rejected. And it is why I don't write your resume like this. So while the last person did not have the keywords, right, but they did have the how and the reason or result, this person is not having the reason or result. So while this can be cross-functional, right, that's fine. And this can be, well, really that's it. This can be clarifying, requirements from stakeholders. There's not really much else, and they don't really tell me the reason or result or how they did it. So you are going to need to redo, well, most all of this. This is good, though. I want to point this out. If you are fluent in multiple languages, companies love that. So that is something good you did. But the problem with this is you don't really tell me how you did what you did, right? Led FDA clear product about Canada, improving brand consistency and field relevancy or whatever. That's not what we're looking for. You know what I want to see? I want you to say, worked with sales, clinical, and regulatory, and clarified their business requirements into a product to help our sales teams sell more stuff. And then the next one, you can be created a platform using Power BI, Excel, Office, Word, PDFs, and Tableau, using Google Analytics to ship out a product before our deadline, right? Like, that is the stuff that I would like. The problem is when you write your bullet points like this, it doesn't give me the context I need, and it's sort of like whitewashed, right? Like, it's very plain. And I need you to describe how you did it and the reason you result. And I also will say, actually, now that I'm looking at the rest of this, most of these are not what I'm looking for as well. I do see the requirement stuff, and that's good, but I don't see Tableau, I don't see Microsoft Word, Office, or PDFs, or Outlook, and that was on there, right? Like, that's not me being picky. That was on the job description under the requirements, and that counts. Microsoft Office counts as that. I don't really see Figma. I don't see 0 to 1. I don't see how you move teams faster. And I actually don't see how you succeeded, right? Like, some of these you told me how, but you didn't tell me the reason and result. So I'm going to need you to go back to the drawing board, and your formatting is also slightly off. Your formatting should look like this. This is on my website. I think it's the best formatting. It works on multiple other recruiters and hiring managers. But the bigger issue here, besides the formatting, is the fact that these bullet points are bad. So you need to redo basically everything down to here. And if you're applying to stuff where this is needed, keep this. Otherwise, I would remove this, but you definitely should keep this. This is good. You really, really do want this. So, next, resume. This is a resume of a software engineer intern. So, what we need for an intern is pretty easy, honestly. Every single intern basically needs the same things, with the exception of master's and PhD level. Is you need degree, a basic knowledge of whatever you're interning for, and the ability to work well with others and take direction and criticism. And that's it. Most interns overcomplicate it. This is just what they need. So, in the case of a software engineer intern, it'll be either just a broad stuff, so like language, library, SQL, cloud, maybe a specific stack. So I think if it's full stack, it'll be TypeScript, JavaScript, HTML, CSS. If it's Java, I want Java and, I'm forgetting what the other one for Java is. Python would be Docker. So that kind of thing. You just need like a basic understanding of it. So this person says they have a 1 in 50, which is pretty solid. And let me review this. So I'm expecting this to be relatively good, or at least average. I will say 1 in 50 is like a C minus, and that it barely passes, but it does pass. Although I will say for an intern, that ratio is probably needs to be a little higher because internships are very competitive. So, and go. Okay, good. Degree, don't need this, but that's fine. And I know, okay, using TypeScript, JavaScript, Node.js, SQL, GraphQL. Okay. Get perfect to receive feedback, clarify requirements. Okay. By Kafka channel and Slack and email. React. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I actually don't know if there's anything. I mean, I there are ways to fix this, but this would pass. I think this is good. All right, let me read what this is. So, would you be able to read this for an intern? Applying to both intern. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, this is kind of the problem when a resume is actually good on this channel is there's only so much I can say. So, here's how I would change this. But overall, this is a pass. I want everybody to know I'm being extra nitpicky because I want them to get some value from this. So, this does not matter. You can delete this. Relevant coursework is usually never relevant on your resume unless you have done something incredibly rare, like it was like a capstone. That's a way I think would be viable, and it's something different than normal. Here, I like. I'm not sure GraphQL is as much. I would prefer you to put like RESTful APIs, but overall this is good. And then instead of Node.js, Next.js, just put a comma here, right? You want a comma here instead of the slash. I do the slash, but you should do a comma. Scheduled one-on-one weekly managers, clarify requirements. I really like that. I actually don't think there's anything you need to fix about that one. Design relational schemas and implemented SQL. Idempotent. This is where you sort of lose me. So SQL is good, right? SQL is on there. The thing is, you want to make sure you have a minimum of 3 keywords per like actual bullet point. That should be the goal. 3 minimum to 6 maximum. Sometimes you can go with 8. So, which is why here I think you may want to take 1 or 2 of the bullet points from here. Maybe you already mentioned SQL, right? You already mentioned SQL here. You don't mention it here. This sentence does nothing for you and can be safely removed. Or alternatively, you move a couple of things here and put it here. I would prefer you put HTML and JavaScript, HTML and CSS here as well, but it's still pretty solid. Developed event backgrounds with Kafka. Okay. For multi-channel delivery, pretty solid. But again, you already mentioned GraphQL, but you didn't mention Git. Creative for documenting. And then this one, you may want to redo. This is got, yeah. So again, does this pass? Yes. Yes, this does pass. But those are some tweaks that you could make it go from maybe like a 1 in 50 to a 1 in 20, 1 in 30. But overall, this is a good resume. Props, you're doing it right. And let's go to the next resume. This is a data scientist. So what we need for a data scientist is degree, Python, R, SQL, data in all its forms. So data modeling, data analytics, etc. Industry, I cannot be in every industry. Every industry is going to have very specific qualifications in this regard, but everything else is the same. So basically, as long as I can tell what industry you're in, and I believe that you've shown me a tool or two from that industry, you should be fine. Explaining stuff to non-technical folks, basically, you are the expert. You need to show them how stuff works, and these people may not know how to turn on a monitor, and you have to tell them about your flip-flop Vibbity Bop and why that makes sense for the business. Cross-functional ML ops, Microsoft Office apps, so Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Google. AI, a little bit of AI, so Spark, Skibbity, Learn, Pandas, NumPy, LLMs, ML, NLP, and dashboards and data visualization, and that is what we need. So, 20 seconds. Actually, what is the ratio of this one? Do we know? It is 1 in 75, so I'm assuming there is going to be stuff I need and stuff I want, but there are a lot of improvements that we could make. So I don't think this is going to be a garbage delete at all. And let me get my list back up just so I don't do that. All right, and go. Degree, okay. Dashboards, okay. SQL, Tableau, Impact. Oh, good. Okay, engineer to predictive ML model using Python, AWS. Okay, analyze root causes, leadership, non-executing business. Okay, I really like that. Led statistical pretty solid. Using Excel. Okay, and time. Yeah, I did not find enough to move forward, but I did like it. So this is not terrible. I think it's only going to take a little bit of tweaks to get there. So. First off, part of your issue is just you're going to graduate in May, and while some companies can hire that far off, most of them don't. All right, like most companies, if you can't start in 3 months, it's not worth it to apply. But some big companies can hire this far off in advance, so that's going to be a slight problem. The second is your formatting. Again, this makes it harder to read. This is easier to read. So this is much too hard to read. But let me read what you wrote. Have had 2 interviews since the start of last week, which feels promising. Yeah, this is not terrible. Actually, truthfully, I think this is probably more than a 1 in 75. Let's see. Would adding a bullet saying something like utilized AI, blah, blah, blah. I mean, a bigger issue is just you're kind of heavily focused too much on the AI and not some of the other qualifications that I need. So if anything, we want to remove a little bit of AI from this. Let's see. I'm still about 3 months out from graduating and open to moving to basically any big city. So I have a bunch of identical resumes with saying I'm located next and I'm open to moving to. Not sure if this is my true ratio, though, since I've barely been a week of applying. Where else besides LinkedIn should I be looking for? So there are, I hate saying this, there are 3 main job sites. There's LinkedIn, Indeed, and Craigslist. And between those 3, you will probably not find any other, like those are where every job is. If it's not on one of those 3, it's very rare that it's going to be on another site. Not saying it doesn't happen, but it's rare. And now a lot of people are like, what do you mean Craigslist? And the fact is, the jobs that are on Craigslist that are not scams, which Craigslist is a den of scum and villainy, are real. They are small companies that don't know how to hire, maybe sub 50 employees that need somebody, and they don't know how to make a job posting on LinkedIn or Indeed because it's too expensive. So they go and they put it on Craigslist. And there are plenty of entry-level people that will get a job through that. So if anything, Craigslist is great for entry-level roles. You have to be careful because, again, everything is a scam there, but the 5% that are not scams, you will not find anywhere else. So how I would fix this resume, and again, I actually think this is mostly good. So first off, formatting, you want your formatting to look like that. Second off, you kind of focus a little too heavily on AI and ML, because if you notice, it's just this and ML ops that I have. So here, I think is good. This has basically everything I would need about AI and machine learning. Here, though, I do like the cause of ML prediction, but I'd rather you put in some of the other stuff too, like, analyzed root causes of ML model prediction using, Word, Office, whatever, and then created a dashboard and that kind of thing. So again, you're kind of too heavily focused on the ML, and other than that, I kind of like these sentences. So here is good. Yeah, so that's my big thing is just I would like a little bit more of the other stuff in your first bullet points, but this is pretty solid. I think this is going to get you a bunch of stuff. Just primarily fix the bullet points. And I think that's really all I can say on this one. They are in chat, so I'm going to help them out right now in my Twitch chat. But for everybody else, next resume. This is, I think, an embedded software engineer. This person stated software engineer for hardware, which I think implies embedded software engineer. If it's not, I'm sorry, but that was a weird way to state it. So for an embedded software engineer, we need your degree, C++ or C#, cross-functional, RTOS, ROS, ROS2, microcontrollers, microprocessors, embedded operating systems, Agile, ISO, Doors, ARM, Linux, test platforms, TCP, IP, security principles, functional safety standards, Linux, Python, Rust, and blah, blah, blah for a bonus. So this person has a 1 in 50, which is actually terrible if this is an embedded engineer. Embedded engineer is a very hot market. You should be getting like a 1 in 5, 1 in 10, or a 1 in 20 at like a bare minimum. So I'm assuming this is probably very bad. But their market is so hot that it almost doesn't matter. So they say they seem to have a lot better time with startups. Also, not seem to get interviews at bigger companies. All right, so let me find out. And 20 seconds, go. Okay, degree, good. Working on HTTP, blah, blah, blah. Single backend, don't care. Microservices, don't care. ISOTP, no, don't care. REST, don't care. Architected vehicles can... Yeah, there's like nothing here. I don't even know if this is an embedded software engineer. Like, there's literally nothing here. Is there anything here that I could use? Yeah, I cannot find it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this is actually embedded software engineer or not. I don't have a software engineer for hardware, but the fact that you're still getting 1 in 50 means I think they at least see it, right? And this is not an industry I'm crazy in. So what I'm assuming is startups will interview you because they have more bandwidth for interviews, and they know more particularly about what they like. But bigger companies are going on something closer to this, which is why they don't have it. So, yeah, I'm going to need you to redo all of this. I don't even know what you are. I think you're an embedded software engineer, but this is part of the problem is I don't know what you are, bro. So fix your formatting. It should look like this. This can be safely deleted. This stuff, if you're actually embedded, needs to be like this. And this doesn't really matter that much. Like 1 million annual savings is good, actually. But it really depends on the company. But I really need some of the other stuff here. So there's really not too much I can do because, again, if the formatting's bad, it's fine. But the bullet points are good, it's fine. But this issue is really just I have no idea what they are, because you have nothing what that is, and I could not easily find a software for hardware engineer. So yeah, let me know if you actually are an embedded software engineer. If you are, you need this stuff. If you're not, I can at least look up what you are because I've not been able to find a software for hardware. That's like, yeah, it's a weird way of saying that. So that's all I can do for this one. I'm sorry this one wasn't great. But I still want to thank you all for watching, subscribing, reposting, commenting, liking. It really does help me in the brutal algorithm, which I fully don't understand yet. And, thank you all to my members. I really do appreciate it. They get access to videos a little bit early. And if you ever need more help, you can join me on my live stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. PST at twitch.tv/headlessheadhunter. And I will see you in the next video.